Peace, love, and light to you all, family. Much love, much love. I hope that you are doing well. I hope that you are doing great. Welcome to another YouTube video with me, your host, Mathix. Now, on today's video, I wanna get into a little bit of a story. This is a story about how I left church. This is a story of how I left church to re-find church, but to find the church as myself. Now, I've had people who, when they begin their spiritual journey, they became synchronized with me, either through someone suggesting, like, hey, you should watch this guy, or a friend knows someone who tells them that, yo, there's this person. And some people have come to me, with questions like, oh man, now that I'm no longer in church, I don't know how to pray. I don't know what's my relationship with the church. And these are understandable things. So I'm thinking it's about time that I make a video of my own story to kind of speak on this subject of like church, because I want to make one thing clear. First of all, is that to be on the spiritual journey doesn't mean that you have to leave church. Just because you still go to church doesn't make you any less spiritual. In fact, it's good. Go to church and commune with people. Like where two or more are gathered. Go spread the aura. Go spread the aura of enlightenment and consciousness in church. Be there as the pastor is talking and decode the scriptures, decode the verses, see what the congregation doesn't see. So it's not about going to church. Church only becomes bad when you go to church, but you have not understood that you are the church. So you are the primary church. You are the temple that they speak about when they talk about Solomon's temple, the temple that was built with neither chisel nor hammer. So it was not built with hands. So it's this temple. It's this body is a temple. It's a church. This body is a temple. And this place right here on your body, what do they call this? The temples, because sitting smack in the middle is the Holy of Holies. That's where the high priest sits, the pineal gland. That's where the Trinity is. That's where the three stars are, the pineal gland, the pituitary, and the hypothalamus. Your body is the greatest temple. So how this has happened, let me start from the beginning. So I grew up in a very religious type of family. We grew up in a traditional church. I grew up ZCC. For those who don't know it, it's Zion Christian Church. It's a Christian church, but it still upholds some kind of African customs to it when you really look at it. And me looking at it from being outside of the church, I'm like, damn, bro, this church is actually profound. I'm like, I should go visit it every once in a while. I was thinking that recently. I was like, damn, there's some things that are like, I need to just go, check out, like for me being outside of it. So I grew up ZCC, and growing up in ZCC, man, like most of my family members on my mom's side, on my dad's side, they all go into this church. My dad is telling me things like, yo, this is the church, man. This is the one. Yeah, this is the one. I'm convinced. Just growing up, you start off, you don't want to go to church. They force you to go to church. And then it gets to a point where you begin to love church. Now you want to go to Sunday school of your own accord. I want to go to church on Wednesdays, because we used to have church on Wednesdays where we have like the males have this beautiful choir dance thing that you would have there. Go to church on Sundays. And so the years pass, and almost, when was it? Some many years ago. It's been almost, yeah. My dad had this particular experience. I would want to call it a spiritual shaking of some sort. He had a spiritual shaking. And after having that, he could not find help from church. Or rather, let me say that the position that he was in, his answers, he could not get them from church. So after a while, they ended up leaving the church. Okay, cool. So that happened. Now, before they left, this is the cool thing. I was in university at the time. I was at the University of Johannesburg, right? So I'm at the University of Johannesburg, and at the time, I was with this sister. I was dating this sister from Botswana, right? So me and her, we kind of were on a similar path at that time. So we were on a similar path, the same spiritual path. So we had been attending these prophetic churches because my dad, like, now he left ZCC, and now he was looking for answers, and so he calls me, he's like, go to church. But then, like, now he's telling me to go to, like, these prophetic churches, your these prophetic churches, let me just say that. Okay, cool. But before all of that happened, what happened was, I was with my ex-girlfriend, and we were sitting in my room, and I remember him telling him, like, yo, I want to leave church. In fact, like, I'm leaving church. I just don't know how I'm going to tell them at home. Because what triggered me into that was that my dad just literally left me hanging. Number one, remember, I'm a kid. I grew up under this man telling me that this is it. And all of a sudden, you know, he's having these doubts. But the doubts weren't so clear to me because I was at a far place. So I'm coming into consciousness and spiritual knowledge, studying up on African history, African spirituality. You know, I've never really smoked weed before. I met a guy who was conscious. One of the synchronicities, me and this guy having these debates about oneness and duality and vegetarianism, and just things. And I'm coming out of a very deep religious mind. I can hear what this guy is saying, but a part of me is like holding on. But there were days when, let's say, I would go outside and, like, I would just, like, smoke weed. People would want to smoke weed and, like, laugh and talk or watch something. I would always leave, and I would go outside, and I would go into these deep, profound thoughts. I have these deep revelations of, I've been here before. I know what this is. I've like I would be in places, and I would feel that the house that I was living in at the time in varsity, that I had divinely planned to be there. But these weren't thoughts, they were feelings of, like, I'm supposed to be here. So I'm getting these revelations, these deep revelations. I remember telling her, I was like, nah, man, I'm going to tell my fam that, like, I'm leaving church. And I think, if not the same day, the next day, my mom calls me. My mom calls me on the phone. She's like, hey, Ish, yeah, no, it's not working out. I'm like, it's not working out? Are you breaking up with me as a mother? Am I no longer your son? What do you mean it's not working out? You can't leave me. I'm your son. Like, nah. Church, you idiot. Yeah. Church. Like, church is like, yeah, nah, hey, it's no longer, yeah, like, it's, we're leaving ZCC. I'm like, oh, damn, okay. I'm like, oh, you leaving church? But I'm inside, I'm like, oh, shit, they leaving church. So now I'm happy because I don't want to be like the guy who comes in with, like, yo, by the way, like, yeah. So I was happy because I knew that questions weren't going to come. I'm just going to be like, oh, the whole family is leaving church. But I was planning it all along. So that was easy for me. But here's the twist. When my family left church, they left one church and then started looking for another church. Whereas I'm like, I'm leaving church completely. Like, I'm not leaving one church and then now I'm going to say that I'm an evangelist, or I am whatever type of churches, whatever it is. I'm like, no, I'm leaving the whole thing. So now they started attending these prophetic churches, and they started, like, sending me. My dad was the one who was deep into it, even, because, like, oh man, he's the leader of the house, so the fam leaves also. Okay, cool. Oh no. Right? Oh, so they're like, yeah, nah, it's not working out. So they start looking for different churches. Like, yeah, you should go to this church. Oh, you should go to this church. I go at the time, but deep down I'm like, man, you know what? The whole thing, the whole operation, I don't want it. I don't want it. Because at that time I started understanding that, remember, it came into a synchronization that when I wanted to leave, I was coming into spiritual knowledge. I was doing meditations. I was studying up on metaphysics, African history, pan-Africanism, all the things, and I'm having these deep spiritual revelations. I'm getting downloads. I'm getting, so I'm leaving the whole thing. And so it just came to a point where I'm like, nah, man, like church in general, I'm done with it, because I had come to the knowledge that I am the church, because I grew up reading the Bible so much, and like now looking up on other religions, checking up on the Quran, and like what do Muslims go into? What do the Buddhists believe? I did not leave one Christian church and go to another, because remember, my core beliefs had been shaken. Like, whoa, damn, so you telling me? So in my mind it was like, who's to say that the same thing won't happen for us to leave a church that you were in for even longer than I am, and now we just want to go up into another one? Who's to say that you won't have the same things later on? So I'm like, no, I'm jumping out of the whole operation. you know this side they call it anointing water, that side it's a different type of water, this side they wear a bracelet, this side they wear something else on the way. I'm like, bro, these are the same things. So I'm like, you know what, I'm jumping out of the whole thing. I'm jumping out of the whole belief system. And then that's when my ancestors started coming through, walking me through the journey. Like, nah, bro, don't worry, man, we'll be here to hold you by the hand. But then that's when now they really shook me into crazy ass spiritual awakenings. Like, yo, justice, like, yo, yeah, nah, my initiation wasn't, it wasn't a jolly good fellow one. Like, it was, yeah, like when they came, like, yo, man, they pulled me out. Like, yo, yo, they really pulled me out. Man, I'm talking being taken to churches. I'm talking mental institution vibe. Is this guy losing his mind? Man, I'm telepathic. I'm talking, I can hear thoughts. I'm talking prediction of time. I'm talking future sight, past sights. Yo, no, it was intense. My Kundalini awakening was intense. Physical symptoms, mental symptoms, all of it, all of it, all of it. Pain by the spine, all things. They're like, yeah, nah, bro, we want you, we want you, we want you. Come here, come here. And so when my family went into the, like churches and whatnot, I'm like, nah, bro. And I remember sharing a little bit of what I knew at home, like, telling them when I came back, like, there's no, one of the semesters, there's no hell and things like that. So my brother at the time, he also, because he was young also, he kind of didn't, he was like, what's going on? But then later, he had his own little thing that shook him into also tapping into the spiritual journey, which is something that I'm thankful for, because it always sucks to be the only one in your family that's like a black sheep, but like when you have someone who's close to you and y'all can relate on a deep spiritual level, it's always fun. And like to decode things, family things, spiritual things, it's a very beautiful thing. So I'm thankful to the Most High for that. But yeah, when they left one church to go to another, I'm like, nah, I'm tapping into a different church. And when I looked into African spirituality and Kemetic information, all that they were talking about is that the body is the church. So all of the structures in ancient Egypt, be it the pyramids, the temples of whatever the different temples are, Temple of Man, Temple of Luxor, they're based on the human body. They are built according to the blueprint of what the human body is. There's certain parts that represent the head, and those would be the Holy of Holies, because that's where Christ consciousness is. The whole Bible is based on the body. When they talk about Jesus getting crucified at Golgotha, Golgotha means place of the skull. If you look up the word Golgotha. When you look up Jerusalem, it's the head. When you look up Bethlehem, where Jesus Christ was born, that's the solar plexus. That's the intestine areas, and they say that he was born in a manger, right? And what do you find in there? You find cattle and sheep and poop and all of that, because that's where in your intestines, that's where food and whatnot gets processed in order for you to take it out. So they call that the place of Bethlehem, because that's also the solar plexus where the Christ seed is born, and then it rises up. So all of the Bible is nothing but, when they talk about mountains, Mount Sinai, it's the head. When they talk about people going up into a mountain to receive certain instructions, it's your consciousness rising into the head region, because your consciousness is split into 7 regions, right? Which are your 7 seals, or your 7 chakras. And most people are only locked or are only aware on the level of the first 3. So when you begin to open all of them up, you open up these verses as, in my Father's house are many mansions. These mansions are the dimensions of being, of thought, of feeling, realms of psychic realms, psychic abilities that connect you to the universe, that give you a psychic ability, that open up the higher cosmic consciousness, where you begin to have access into past and future lives. So this is the greatest temple, is your body. And all churches outside are based on the body. But most of this information has been lost. People flock to church every Sunday with the primary church not knowing. I'm saying, man, we clean our houses and our cars more than we take care of our body, which is kind of weird, because without this, then you can't be here. We appreciate cars and material things, money and all more than we appreciate this. Without this, these things wouldn't be tangible. They wouldn't be in sight. They wouldn't be in sound. You couldn't taste them. You couldn't smell things. So this is the first primary temple. This is where God is. This is where God lies. So where you go, that place is holy. Where you are church. So you don't have to wait for Sunday to be in church. You are always in church. You are always in church. You are the church. The church that was not built with physical tools. You are the church. So that became my truth, that, okay, you know what, I'm the church. And so with that, there comes this thing of like, okay, how do I pray? Who do I pray to? Do I pray to myself? Because now that I know I'm God, what do I say? Who? Then the questions begin to come to you, because you understand that, damn, you are an extended being. You don't end where your body ends. Your body expands out into the earth. The earth is an extension of your body. The universe is an extension of your body. So you are the Father Spirit, you are the Mother Earth, you are the in, you are the out, but there will always be that aspect of yourself that you would even feel weird to call it yourself, but it is yourself. So the ancients just called it as the it. The part that is doing all of this, that's projecting us as fragments. So that will be what we refer to as God. So you don't have to change the way you pray. But only thing that you have to change now is that when you're talking to that being, you're talking to an aspect of yourself that is too high and mighty for your conscious mind to comprehend. And so you talk to it as if it's something external to you, but it's really not. You can't talk to it as if it's external to you, in the sense that you understand that its power is vast. It's so vast that you can't comprehend it. But if you just keep that core understanding that it is you, or rather that it is projecting you, you are its dream. I'll give you an example, right? If you write a storybook and you create characters in that storybook and someone reads it, those characters or a movie, they become real, and they have, like when people go watch a movie in the cinema, they 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 have attachment towards the characters. They don't even think about who directed the thing. They think about the characters. So we are the characters in a mind or a projection or a story or a movie, in a creation of an intelligent mind that is creating all these characters, these different aspects of itself. You see? So these aspects exist only in the mind of that being, but they exist nonetheless. You exist, even though you cannot be that which really created you to that degree, but you are still in its mind. You are still an aspect of its imagination. You are still in its story. It's imagining itself to be you. It's created itself to be you. You see, and so there's different levels on how you can access that which creates you. There's levels of spirituality where you really understand what it is to be God, or to be a co-creator with God or deity or whatever it is that you want to call it. You see, but it all begins with you understanding that you are the temple. Teachers and all these people in church, they can only do so much. They can only do so much. The greatest thing is for you to understand that you are the church, and you've always been the church. You see. Yeah, so basically, in a nutshell, that's my story with like leaving church. It's me looking at like how I could have grown up in one system. They're like, yeah, this is it. And then for it to just change, and now I'm supposed to adopt a new one. I'm like, no way. No way. So I leave you with this. Question yourself. Question your core beliefs. The things you believe in, do you believe them because someone told you? Or do you believe them from personal experience? And most people, we believe things, especially deep spiritual things, because our parents, our family, or some teacher told you that this is it. Yeah, you Muslim, you are guaranteed a spot in heaven. You Christian, you're guaranteed a spot in heaven. Do you know this for yourself? Or do you believe in these things because of someone else? And if you are scared to question your beliefs, then there's a problem, because you're an adult. You should be able to question yourself. If you believe in African spirituality and you grew up in that, question that. If you grew up here, question whatever it is that you believe in. And then when you question it, the spirals of truth will come back and be like, nah, but this is it, man. Like, this is it. I really am the great thing. I really am that super spirit, So, yeah, family. Peace, much love and light to you all. And remember, they will say, I think it's a verse, they say, behold, in the last days, they will say, the kingdom of God is there, or it's there. And all of that will be lies. Behold, the kingdom of God is within you. This is a verse, actually. They will say it's there. They will say it's in this church. They'll say it's in this ministry. They'll say it's in this religion. All will be lies. Behold, the temple, behold, the kingdom of God will be where in you, in each and every single person, is God and is the church. Is the church. You are the church. Peace, family.